My name is Amy, and in today's video I am going to talk about my personal experience about the pros and cons of exclusively pumping. This is 100% based on my experience as a first-time mom to my little baby boy Sam. Well, the picture's cut off, but he's pretty sweet and cute. So Sam is 6 months old and I am 6 months, in almost exactly 6 months into my exclusively pumping journey. It is something, honestly, I didn't know anything about. I felt like it's not as popularly known of a choice for feeding your baby as traditional nursing or as formula feeding is, and so it wasn't even on my radar at all, but I definitely think it should be on the radar. So I just want to give you guys some of my experience and what I thought about it. This absolutely was not something I wanted to do initially, and it has been, and to some extent continues to be a challenging journey that I am on, but I am so thankful that I did it, or that I am doing it. So let's talk about some of the pros or the benefits of it first. So the ultimate benefit is your baby is getting your breast milk. I'm not going to go into the details about the benefits of giving your baby breast milk, just because I do think, like, I don't want to start the debate or really do like breast milk versus formula, because personally I also give my baby some formula, and I will talk about that a little bit why later. But for me, giving breast milk was important because of some of the benefits, but also it was very important for me to feel like I am feeding my baby, because not being able to nurse, which is something that I really wanted to experience, was emotionally pretty devastating, and it was really hard, especially because all of these things happen, typically I believe they happen really early on, right as soon as your baby is born and all those crazy hormones are raging and stuff. Then you find out, in my case, oh, can't nurse, which is really hard. So feeling like you can still physically provide was a big deal for me emotionally. Another thing is that if you are prone to worry or anxiousness, or if your baby isn't gaining a lot of weight or anything, is when you are pumping, or this is formula, you will know exactly how much your baby is consuming. So you could know if there is some sort of like weight gain issue. It might be a little bit easier to track or figure out what is going on with your baby. And once again, the anxiety thing in the beginning is pretty rough, and so this might be something to help ease your mind a little bit in knowing what your baby is going to give. This is actually, so this next point is something that I currently am really looking forward to. You can choose to end your breastfeeding journey sooner, but still provide your baby with the breast milk. So for a longer time. I'm sure you could still, well, what I mean is that you could kind of build a freezer stash. You could probably do it with traditional nursing as well, but this is one thing that I think might be easier to do, because if you were doing traditional nursing, you would nurse your baby and then pump afterwards, I believe, to build a freezer stash. This time you're just pumping, and the extra you get to, if you have an oversupply, will be, you could just have it in the freezer. I was an undersupplier, now I am an oversupplier, and in the future I am going to make a video to tell about the changes and what I did to become an oversupplier, because I'm very thankful for that. So for example, I have this app on my phone. I think it's called Milk Bar. It was about $2 or $3, and it does a lot of things. But one of the things is that it can calculate the date that if you continue on with your average milk, how often you freeze your milk. This is what day you could end your pumping journey, and you would have enough milk to be able to feed your baby, and then you put the date. So typically, or very common date is 1 year. So I have my son's 1 year birthday, which is the end of October, and I could stop producing milk or start freezing at June 20th, and I would have enough milk to, if he continues consuming around the same amount, I would have enough. So that is June, so July, August, September, October. That is 4 months. 4 months. And I don't know if everybody feels this way. I know it's going to be emotional and difficult, but like, I am ready to like physically kind of like get my body back and not have to worry about my pumping schedule or anything like that. That's going to be so nice. Personally, I am not going to stop at June 20th. I am just going to start the weaning process, which is like, I'm going to start like dropping pumps and stuff like that. So yes, so I'm very excited about this one. Another benefit is that you can get help with feeding. And it also gives opportunities for different people to have that bonding experience. I promise, this is really difficult. I promise if you are doing exclusively pumping, you will feel still very bonded, very attached to your baby. It might be difficult in the beginning. It was for me, and I struggled so, like, I've cried over this pumping thing more often, and this not being able to nurse more often than I ever want to think about. But I promise you, you will feel still attached and bonded to your baby. Your baby will know you are his or her mom, and he or she will love you. Just because you cannot nurse or you choose not to nurse, it does not mean that your baby will not be attached to you. That was really hard. So I hope that encourages someone out there. But this does give like your baby's dad or grandparents or whoever else is in your life, it does give them a really special time to connect with them, so other people can also benefit. And that also means that sometimes if that someone else could do a late night feeding, so you could catch some extra sleep, which is awesome. And then, so it might also be a little bit less painful. There can be some pain involved with pumping. For me, it's right by now it's like super minimal. It's just like if I've gone too long or anything like this. But one thing that I'm so grateful for is my son has a very strong latch, strong suck. He is just a strong little boy, and he is trying to get teeth, and sometimes like he'll like try to gnaw on my finger or bite my finger, and that, like, the idea of traditionally nursing terrifies me with this kid, because I feel like body parts would get completely bitten off or anything like this. So I do think that maybe going along there might not be as much pain. And then, yes, it is also good for, sorry if there is a little bit change in perspective zoom or anything like that. I just had to attend to the baby. Yes, so no, not as painful. And then also, you can be more flexible in your timing of things. So I know that maybe if some moms are going back to work, or just if something happens, if you have a doctor's appointment or just something for timing wise, your baby can still get fed without you being there, which can get more freedom, obviously. And then this one is a huge one that I really am excited, well, that excites me, is that it is good for emergency situations, which obviously we all hope will never happen, and everything will just be smooth and easy. But sometimes emergencies happen, and if you are pumping, you know that your baby will take a bottle, because that's the only way your baby knows how to feed. And not only will you know that your baby will take a bottle, but typically you will have bottles already prepared. So if you get sick or any kind of emergency situation, your baby you could stress-free know that your baby will be okay, even if you are not able to physically nurse or feed your baby. So yeah, because I've heard that some babies don't take to bottles or don't care for bottles, and with exclusively pumping, that is a benefit that you don't have to think about. So those are just some of the benefits. Obviously there are definitely more benefits, and if you choose to do exclusively pumping, I think it's a really valid, good choice, obviously, because I'm doing it. Let's talk about some of the cons. To be honest, the cons are more intense in the beginning, and then they very much lessen up. Specifically, when your milk regulates, which I believe is around the 12-week mark, then it becomes a lot easier. So hopefully these cons, I just want to give you a realistic depiction, but things do get easier. So the first thing is that the time. It takes a lot of time to pump. It really depends on how long it takes you to empty, and I still feel like I don't 100% know if I empty myself all the time. But in the beginning, you're supposed to be pumping every 2 to 8 hours for 15 to 20 minutes. So that is insane. So you're supposed to get around, I think it's like 8 to 12 pump sessions in a day. Before I regulated, for the most part, I was only able to get in 7 because life just happens. But anyway, so it takes a lot of time. It still takes a lot of time. I am 6 months postpartum, and I do produce around 40 to 42 ounces a day, and I am pumping 5 times a day, but I'm only pumping for 15 minutes, which is a lot better. And as soon as I start weaning, I'm going to drop to 4 pumps a day, and I think that it will get better. But it does take a lot of time regardless, especially if you don't want to get mastitis or clog or all those different things. That could be also, I don't know if mastitis or clogs are more prone because of pumping or not, but it is just something to be aware of that. I've gotten it twice already, possibly 3 times, or I think I almost got it the 3rd time, but that is no fun. Lack of sleep, so this is something that can be either side. So lack of sleep because you have to pump and then feed your baby, and then like in the middle of the night, all of these things, or you have to get up to pump, which is also pretty rough. You don't have to, I guess. It depends on how your milk supply situation is. But in the beginning, you really feel that lack of sleep. But the benefit is that later on, when your milk regulates or you don't have to be as strict, you can save some time by, like I said before, by having someone else feed the baby if the baby is getting up on time, and you could sleep a little bit longer. Another con is that the upfront cost can be quite a lot, because it depends on if your insurance provides you with a breast pump, or if that breast pump will even work for your body. a lot of like parts, bottles, you want to get spare parts, or else if you're anything like me, you will feel like you're going crazy. So spare parts cost money. There is a lot of upfront cost as opposed to traditional nursing. Oh, still milk storage bag, we're still using those. So it is, sometimes I wonder, I think it still is less expensive than formula if you were completely formula fed, but it can be, because we also, like, I got another more portable breast pump. Saved my life. I would highly recommend it. It was totally worth the money if you want to be dedicated to this. But yeah, it can be, oh my gosh, and pumping bras and stuff. You could spend a lot of money on this one. Another con is all of the dishes, and then you sterilize them. It takes up so much room. Oh, I guess that could be a separate one. But the dishes and the bottles are intense. If you can, I would recommend sharing the responsibility. Erik has been incredible, and for a while he was doing 100% of the dishes and things like that, which was awesome. But yeah, but your hands are going to feel so dry from doing this. It is hard to leave the house, which is another con. This is something even now I'm currently dealing with, because it's not just like, oh, you just bring your boobs with, you know, if you're doing traditional one, or even formula, you could just bring the formula. Whereas if you want to leave and you have to pump, which you definitely can, but it takes a lot of like mental gymnastics. So you have to think about bringing like all of these things, you know, bringing your pump parts, bringing your pump, bringing bottles to store them afterwards, then it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do with them while they're dirty? Am I going to clean them while they're there, or am I going to just bring them home? What if I have to pump? There's just a lot. And yeah, and we're planning on going to Disneyland soon, and I'm going to have to pump while we're there, and that is also going to be, that's one of the stresses of doing it, because I have to pump. And then another one, before I found a system that worked for me, this killed me. Where sometimes the baby is hungry and the baby has to wait a little bit for the bottle to warm up, or for you to get everything ready for the baby to eat. And that, like, this definitely destroyed me. It was really hard, but we did find a system that will work for us, so Sam really doesn't have to, he might even get it faster than it would take for me to like get everything ready to nurse. But definitely find a system and timing that works for you and your family. So before we did it, it was really hard to hear him crying and wanting food, and him having to wait a little bit. Privacy is also an issue. Privacy slash like finding a place to pump, if you have visitors or whatever is going on. It's really up to you. I guess this is something that if you're nursing, you have to also deal with. Like, do you cover up? Do you not cover up? Do you go in a different room? I just prefer to go in a different room, because like it's kind of annoying to cover up when you have these like things hanging off of you and stuff, and so it's a lot more comfortable too. And then the last one is that especially in the beginning, I struggled with feeling not as bonded to my new baby. This is, by now, I feel just as close to him as I do as if I was nursing. I believe I don't have anything to compare it to, obviously, but it was really hard. It was really, really, really hard. And I would recommend in the beginning, even if you're like, you are pumping, but do as much skin to skin with your little newborn as you possibly can, and also do like have your baby as close to you as you can when you are pumping, which I know is hard because of everything, but you will feel bonded. But I understand if it's hard. This whole feeding the baby and not being able to nurse was one of the most difficult part, and I had a really difficult recovery because I got like fourth degree tear and all these different things, but this was one of the most difficult part. But it was absolutely the right choice for me, and there are so many benefits, and it's really like I don't regret my decision. Do I wish that I could just do traditional nursing? Yes, that is what I do wish. But that's just not my life. That's not my story with my son, and so I'm not going to dwell on what could have been. I'm just going to enjoy what is, because there is a lot to enjoy about pumping, even though I can't wait for it to end, the journey to end. Anyway, I know this is a little different video for my channel, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this is interesting to somebody or helpful to somebody, and if you are new, please don't forget to hit the subscribe or the like button. Typically we're just trying to make videos about our family life. We're trying to get back to being healthy and losing weight for our little son, so he could have healthy parents and a good example. And then yeah, oh, and we also have our own little handmade shop where we make different travel bags. So if you want to, please check it out below. And thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.